Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. Yes, we're in the pub today. No Chris Hamill because he has gone on holiday, so he's replaced by Doogie in a reversible England shirt, which he wants
can
to
use both sides.
On the wrong side of the fake number.
And no one ever let me forget it.
No, let's go to the first question because it comes from Billy McGee and he says, now they're going to face each other in the Champions League final. Is it down to Ronaldo and Salah for the Ballon d'Or? And if so, who should win? Dukes?
Well, I'd say there's three outstanding candidates, those two and then Messi as well, but I'm going to make the case for Mohamed Salah. I think he's had the most exceptional season in terms of it's been out of the ordinary. It has just blown everyone away. 41 goals, 13 assists across the Premier League and the Champions League. 1 goal every 68 minutes. And he's reserving his best for the big occasions as well. When he started the season, I just thought it was just a patch of form. I thought because he was missing so many chances, I just thought it was just one of those things that they're all falling from at the right time. But he consistently gets in the right areas. He scored an incredible amount of goals, really performed in the biggest stage. And just for, I mean, Ronaldo 40 goals again, it's very impressive. But Salah has just taken his game to new levels, and I think he's the outstanding candidate.
Peace?
Yeah, I mean, Salah's got more goals, more assists, playing for a worse team, like in a more competitive league. Liverpool have had a very easy run to the Champions League final, bar Man City.
Comparatively to Madrid,
I said this the other day, and everyone blew up. Like I was saying, like the achievement wasn't impressive. Of course it is.
And their group was very easy as well.
Yeah, it was. Like, but you know, that's not to take away from them. But on the other hand, it means they've blown sides away.
Yeah.
You know,
7-0ers, 5-0ers.
But you pointed out that Salah doesn't even take penalties. You know, whereas what was it you said?
It depends. I think Ronaldo's got about 12 penalties.
Really?
Of that 40 goals, there's about 12's come from the spot. Whereas I think one of Salah's maybe.
That's absolutely nuts. I mean, like, yeah,
Salah, he does take that.
And Salah as well has changed the way sides play. Like Ronaldo plays like an elite centre forward, but I don't think that teams are having to completely rethink the way they play football. When they come up against him, not like which is what they did do with him when he was younger and he was faster. With Salah, people are genuinely having to come up with plans just to deal with how fast he is, how good he is, how creative he is, like how amazing he is at like in tight spaces, which nobody.
That goal against Watford,
he's unbelievable, and I just think I don't know to achieve this at a club with that are still really in the building process is absolutely nuts. And if they win the Champions League, I don't see what the argument is against it, except that Messi's better than either of them.
Yeah, I also think Salah should win the Ballon d'Or. At this stage, let's put it that way, at this stage, like we've still got, another 5-6 months before the Ballon d'Or is even starting to be registered.
Yeah.
Because it's next January, right? So you might see, I basically think the Ballon d'Or comes down to scenarios here. If Messi wins the World Cup with Argentina, Messi will 100% win the Ballon d'Or. Forget how many goals and assists people have got in any leagues, any Champions League. Salah could have scored 100 goals and Messi would still win the Ballon d'Or. I think if Real Madrid win the Champions League, Ronaldo will win the Ballon d'Or. 3 Champions Leagues on the bounce and a record number of goals.
Does he have to perform in that final to get
it? No, because he scored a ridiculous number of goals in the campaign building up to it. So I think Ronaldo would win it if Real Madrid win the Champions League, and if Liverpool win the Champions League, Salah will win it. I think it's all down to trophies. For like the last 5 or 6 years, it's all come down to trophies. It hasn't been on individual merits. There's a number of times Messi has been the better footballer. Like let's face it, last year, Ronaldo won it because he won the Euros in 2016. That is the reason he won the Ballon d'Or.
I think there has been a slight change in policy because in 2010, Iniesta was the outstanding candidate, won the World Cup, and then they still gave it to Messi. Whereas in the last couple of years, as you say, it seems to come down to those big trophies.
100%. Although, I also think a positive for Salah has been the consistency over the course of the season. Ronaldo has had, let's face it, a 4-month patch that is absurd.
And a very dodgy first 3.
Absolutely absurd, yeah, precisely. But then, given that, it's very plausible that Mohamed Salah could have a horrible back end to the year in terms of first 3 months of the season at Liverpool next year, he might not score a single goal.
Yeah.
So you've got to weigh it up. If Ronaldo in the second half of the season goes and scores 40 goals in 3 months, then you might go, Jesus Christ, Ronaldo has to take this.
I'd say also Salah has taken, it's an exceptional front line, but it's actually a very average team when you look in the depths of it. I mean, Karius isn't up to much. Lovren continually makes mistakes. I don't think their midfield is anything special either. And yet they're in a Champions League final, first time in since 2007.
11 years.
And they've had better teams since, and they've just really delivered in the big moments. I was looking at their team sheet for when they last played Real Madrid this morning, and it had Fabio Borini playing up front, Balotelli, Lucas in midfield, and what Klopp's done is really impressively brought in young, hungry players and gelled them into this team. And their style of play is difficult for anyone to beat. I'd actually put Liverpool as maybe not favourites for the final, but I think they've got a really good chance.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we're all kind of in agreement that at the moment, Mo Salah should win the Ballon d'Or. But it's a long year and there's still trophies up for grabs. So whoever wins the most trophies is inevitably going to win it. But who do you think is going to win the Ballon d'Or? We put a poll up there. Hopefully Adam Templeman, do it now,
Wake
please.
up, Temps.
Is it Messi, Ronaldo, or is it Mo Salah? Vote now. Click the I button. The next question was sent in by Simon Finally, I'm guessing. Finally. He says, name the player of the year for each of the top 5 leagues. Now, we've already covered Salah, he's definitely the Premier League. We're going to say Messi fairly obviously for La Liga. Let's start with the French League, Ligue 1. Pato, who are we going for?
I'm going to go for Florian Thauvin.
Over Neymar?
Over Neymar. Neymar's missed a lot of the season, and I think that PSG would probably have won the league without him. But Neymar and Cavani are the only people to have been involved in more goals in Ligue 1 this season than Florian Thauvin. He's got 20 goals and 10 assists.
Why did he never do it at Newcastle?
Well, at Newcastle, he only ever made 13 league appearances. He was there for one season, then he went back to Marseille. But this isn't a fluke. Last season, he got 15 league goals for Marseille. So this doesn't just look like something that's like, a crazy one-off.
Yeah.
It looks like an improvement. He's 25 years old. He's a great dribbler as well. He's third in Ligue 1 for completed dribbles a game, like on around 4, I think.
Yeah.
And basically, it's really rare to do the double-double, as in to get into double figures for assists and goals in the league. Only 8 players across Europe's top 5 leagues this season have got into double figures for goals and assists so far. We'd expect a couple or more to. I'm not going to list them all.
Right.
But there's
quite
like
a few City
there's
players.
like Raheem Sterling in there.
Yeah.
There's
De Bruyne,
Sane. It's
Sane.
really, there are some really, really good players in there. I don't think Sane is actually.
Is he
I'm
not?
not sure if he's got 10 goals. But anyway, the list is basically just like a rogue gallery of the best players in Europe. And Florian Thauvin is right there. 20 goals, 10 assists.
That is stupid.
That is crazy.
20 goals, 10 assists.
I think he's probably, I don't know. He should be the target of kind of transfer bids this summer. You'd have thought. Fekir, Thauvin. These are kind of the elite young French
Who would
talents
take him,
in
do you
Ligue
think?
1. Well, people are saying that Arsenal need like
I was about to
a
say, would
wide
Arsenal,
forward,
yeah.
but I think they'll probably go for somebody younger than that. I think if I were Spurs and I was thinking about a wide player, or even a Liverpool, Liverpool, they've got an amazing front
Spurs is a
line,
good
but
shout.
when they rotated recently, you've seen Ings and Solanke, then they've got Origi coming back from loan, and it's like, it doesn't really strike fear into the heart.
Because I think the rumours are they're going to go for Pulisic, right? It's Liverpool.
Really?
But I think Pulisic is just going to want to start.
True.
Florian Thauvin would also be great for Dortmund. Like pretty much any club who wants some elite production from wide is going to get it from Florian Thauvin. He seems to be absolutely thriving under Rudy Garcia at Marseille, and also the fact that he's produced these numbers at Marseille rather than doing it at Paris Saint-Germain, I think deserves credit to him.
Makes it all
Yeah,
more
definitely.
impressive.
I think Dortmund is a really nice fit for him, that sort of stepping stone club. I think Tottenham have had their fingers burnt too many times by French wingers.
Sure,
that
but
have
they've
done
gone
numbers.
younger than this, right? They've gone
Yeah,
for like
the
20, 21
Ngudis of the world.
Yeah.
But
It'd be a big statement, though.
yeah, I think Dortmund might be a nice fit for a player like Thauvin. Although Marseille are going to be desperate to keep hold of him, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's going to take a fairly sizable bid to get him out of France.
And they could
As
still
they
win,
should
and
be.
they could still win the Europa League. And if they get Champions League football next
Yeah.
season,
He
they've
might
slipped down a
as
bit
well
in the league. He may well stay, yeah.
So next league then, should we go Bundesliga?
Yeah, the Bundesliga. It actually hasn't really been a vintage Bundesliga season.
Has to be
Bayern
a
have
fine player.
romped to the title once again. I think they're 16 points clear. There's a bit of a battle for 4th and the Champions League spots, but Lewandowski's been the clear and away top scorer.
Yep.
I think Aubameyang was the second top scorer until recently, and he obviously left in January. But the outstanding candidate has probably been Joshua Kimmich. He's done the irreplaceable and replaced Philipp Lahm, that Bayern legend. And he's comfortable playing in midfield. He played there under Guardiola, but he's really been at right back this season. And he's contributed 5 goals and 13 assists across the Bundesliga and the Champions League. 13 assists, that is mental from a right back. I think Kyle Walker's had an outstanding season in the Premier League, and he's contributed 6. So that just shows the different level. And only keeper Sven Ulrich has played more minutes than Kimmich. And Sven Ulrich, he hasn't had the best of weeks, but it's pretty irrelevant, really.
He scored some big goals as well, both Champions League semi-finals. It's a bit of a shame.
He gets himself in really good areas. And although I think the first leg goal against Navas, I don't know what Navas is doing at that near post, but still he was in the right area, had a go. Only Muller, Ribery and James Rodriguez have created more chances than him, and he's been pretty assured at the back. Bayern have had a really good defence once again this year, despite losing Neuer to that injury. So yeah, Joshua Kimmich for me.
I reckon they'll lock him down. I don't know what his contract is now, but they'll probably improve it in the summer because he's the sort of player they're just going to want to keep hold of, Lahm style. Because
how you lose Philipp Lahm, who's arguably the best right back I think we've ever seen, and they've just got a guy who looks as good as him, who's like 22 or something.
Ridiculous.
So confident on the ball as well.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. So
absolutely nuts.
Let's go to Serie A then, just to wrap up. We'll keep this one quite short. Not that many outstanding candidates from the likes of Juventus either this season. Like, not one player has really stood out there. Same could be said of Napoli. It's more of a team unit than one individual outstanding. So maybe we'll go for Ciro Immobile, top scorer, 29 goals. I think he's also in the top 5 assist makers in the league. It's a bit of a shame for Ciro because I don't know whether he works outside of Italy. He's one of those players that I think people have tried him. Obviously went to Dortmund.
Went to Sevilla as well.
Didn't work there. Sevilla didn't really work there. So I wonder whether he is just smashes it, knows exactly what to do in Serie A.
It's like the Italian Iago Aspas.
Yeah, literally. He won't work outside of Italy, which is a shame because he's such a clinical goal
And also
scorer.
his age, probably not many teams will look at this season and think, we want Immobile now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think he's got over 50 goals in his last 68 games, which is absolutely mind-blowing statistics. If you think of the teams that are chasing strikers, and Juventus, I don't see them signing Immobile. I don't see Napoli signing him. So he's always going to be that sort of, not quite
just at that level
getting
below.
to the European elite stage, I think, Ciro Immobile.
And Lazio are the top scorers in Serie A.
Yeah.
Basically because of him. Imagine if he gets 30 goals and 10 assists.
But I just don't see anybody coming in the summer and going, I want Ciro Immobile.
No, me
neither.
It
doesn't, especially as
pretty good for him.
Especially as Italy aren't going to the World Cup, so he doesn't have that
I
mean, if he went to the World Cup and went, I'm going to smashed in 9 or 10 goals and produce some madness.
Become a World Cup sensation,
A World Cup sensation. Then you might go, he's actually going to get a move to like a fairly sizable club. I just don't think it's going to happen for Ciro Immobile. But nevertheless, another incredible season for him, and hopefully he just keeps scoring goals because he's a fun player to watch. But
what do you guys reckon about La Liga quickly? I know that
we've just brushed across it. Yeah, I mean for Messi,
it's got to be Messi.
I think Ronaldo's had a good second half of the year, but Real Madrid, 60? How many points behind are they now?
I don't know,
a long way back.
If you wanted to look outside the mega clubs, I think that you could do worse than Iaramendi at Sociedad. We always think of him as a defensive midfielder who's been pushing forward a lot more this season. Great passer, incredibly good creator. Also a really good defender in the midfield area, and obviously had that kind of poor stint at Real Madrid where he never really got a chance.
Really got a lot of minutes there.
But he's a fantastic player, and everything good that Sociedad do goes through him. So I think he probably deserves a shout.
He's been linked with Liverpool for years, actually.
Yeah, Marc Bartra going to Betis.
Yeah.
Betis moved to 5 at the back.
Great signing,
suddenly looked like it. Suddenly they look like top 4 candidates.
7th,
Yeah. So that's our Player of the Year from each of the top 5 leagues. But who is yours? Why not let us know on Twitter? Our handles are on screen now. Get at us. The final question of the day was sent in by Ali Abdullah on Twitter. If you want to be involved next week, leave your question below in the comments with the hashtag Sunday Vibes, or send it to us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever your preference is. Ali says, what is your favourite World Cup moment? There's only 40 days left. What are you going to go for, Pato? You've got a bit more life experience. You've got some of the older World Cups.
All right.
The 98s, the 2002.
Beard full of wisdom.
The first World Cup I remember is 1998, and so that Michael Owen goal against Argentina was pretty special. But obviously for me, as a Dutch football fan, it was. I remember seeing Bergkamp score that outrageous goal against Argentina.
Yeah.
So that was pretty special.
Yeah, tough to top that one.
And actually, there are so many great goals the Dutch have given the World Cup. There's Van Persie's header against Spain at the last one.
I loved that goal.
Van Bronckhorst's banger against Uruguay. All of these are amazing. But so that's probably favourite goal. But favourite moment, I mean, it's between Zidane's headbutt, which is iconic.
Yeah.
Or when North Korea pretended that they'd won the World Cup.
For the last 3 weeks, you've been obsessed with North Korea.
Mate,
you want to go to the stadium.
Fascinating place.
If you're wondering why Kim Jong-un's gone nice over the last 2 months, it's because of Patrick Van Straaten.
I have some North Korean plum wine at home that my friend brought me from North Korea, and it's fucking horrendous.
I bet.
But he got battered on it at Christmas, and ever since then, I've
Not
just
known
been,
for that
I've just
wine,
been
really.
really in favour of North Korea.
Yeah, clearly. You've wanted to go to the stadium, you sucked off Kim Jong-un, and now you're talking about North Korean moments faking the World Cup
Shouldn't
wins.
talk about it in that way.
I know.
Respectful.
Dukes?
Well, despite my looks, I'm actually relatively youthful. So I was only 8 at the 2002 World Cup. So the 2006 World Cup was the first one that I got really into.
Same.
I had the sticker book. I had Martin Yole's 40-page analysis on group by group. I don't know why I bought that.
Jesus.
And
Yeah,
I remember the opening game. Yeah. I remember the opening game was, I think it was Germany versus Costa Rica, and Torsten Frings scored an absolute banger, and Podolski also scored Schweinsteiger also scored a goal in that game. That was a really good moment for me. I was like, this is my sport now. And then Shabalala's goal against, can't remember, in the 2010 World Cup, South Africa's opening game, that was an absolute rocket. Yeah. And everyone was a bit concerned before that World Cup that South Africa might get absolutely mauled, but I think they got a draw against France. That was when France were in absolute freefall. And then other moments, Zidane's header, the headbutt even, Zidane's header as well. He's had a few headbutt moments, head-related incidents. But yeah, that would be my 3.
Yeah.
What about that Cambiasso goal as well?
I don't really get that excited about that. I know they're all like 26 passes, but
it is a good goal. It is a good goal.
For me, I reckon Joe Cole's goal against Sweden, particular standout for me. That was, I particularly remember just screaming and running around the house, even more ADHD than usual.
It is outrageous when you see it again.
Such
What's
a
he
good
doing
goal.
shooting from there?
I also remember Tim Cahill's volley.
Yeah, that was a really
clearly.
good goal.
That was so mate. That was such a pure strike. That was just one of those epic moments. I like the header as well, the Van Persie cross to a ball by Daley Blind. But yeah, I would say I've actually got a few worse ones. I'd say my worst moment is definitely that Frank Lampard goal that never happened.
Meters and
Germans,
meters.
Mate. It was about 2 meters over, and that bastard Neuer just
He was
picked the
so
ball
sneaky,
up
he picked it up and threw it out
carried on
instantly.
that play. Wow, I'll never forgive a Neuer for that.
That even annoyed me, and I was delighted seeing it.
So frustrated. But yeah, I'll go Joe Cole's screamer against the Swedes in 06.
I'll give a quick shout out as well to Iniesta when he scored that 2010 World Cup goal and he took his shirt off, and it was Danny Harke always with us, which is a really nice touch in that, you know, having scored a winning goal in a World Cup. Most people just lose their nut, but he remembered his mate that died at Espanyol a few months before. I thought that was a really good World Cup moment.
There was another bloody good moment in that. Nigel de Jong kicking the out of Xabi Alonso's life.
Right in his chest.
Off Xabi.
Aaron Webb has since said he should have been arrested for that.
So good.
I tend to agree.
That was a great World Cup.
Viva de Jong, Viva Van Bommel. But what is your favourite World Cup memory? We're all interested to find out. Let us know in the comments below and we will reply, won't we, Adam Templeman? Yeah. So that's the end of Sunday Vibes, but there's loads of other stuff happening on the Football Daily Network. What happened yesterday?
I took on Statman Dave, Fatman Scoot,
Clash of the Titans.
Scatman Crothers, the Scatman. I took him on at Sat Wars the Champions. It was a rematch from the last tournament where I battered him.
Epic.
And I'll let you go over and check that out to see how it went this time. I thought that Dave was very good. He's always a pleasure to have on the show.
There we go.
Lovely Dave.
Lovely Dave.
Yeah, go check out Continental Club from Friday. Joe and I think Zach are on Hot Takes this week. Talking a little bit about
and over
the
250 replies to that tweet, so there could be some spicy ones.
There we go. He's ready to unleash. And yeah, as ever, check out all the other great content.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.